Devastating loss, infidelity, crushing self-doubt. No celebrity is immune to the tragedies and challenges the rest of us face. And longtime Hollywood staple Stanley Tucci is a perfect example. These days, Stanley Tucci is in a loving and committed relationship with Felicity Blunt, but she is not his first wife. Long before the couple met, the Spotlight actor had been married to Kate Spath Tucci from 1995 until her death in 2009. After Spath Tucci died from breast cancer, Tucci was reluctant to opt for radiation and chemotherapy when he himself was diagnosed with cancer. He told Vera magazine, "I'd vowed I'd never do anything like that because my first wife died of cancer, and to watch her go through those treatments for years was horrible." Spath Tucci and her memory live on, and Tucci has been vocal about how difficult it has been losing her prematurely. He said on the WTF with Mark Maron podcast, "It's still hard after 11 years. It's still hard, and it will always be hard. But you can't let it, and she would never want any of us to ever wallow in that grief and let it take over our lives. She would never want that. She wasn't like that." The loss of his first wife had a lasting impact on Tucci. He still struggles with grief and feelings of guilt. In an interview with The Guardian in 2016, he said, "We tried everything we could do to save her. I wish that I could have done more and that I could have been with her at the moment she passed away. I couldn't be in that room because I knew it would be so devastating that I wouldn't be able to take care of the kids after." This is not the only time he has admitted to feeling helpless. In an interview with AP News, he said, "You just wish that you could have done something more to help. There's a guilt, there's no question about that. There's a guilt that you're moving on with your life. You're watching your kids grow up. You're going to see, hopefully, grandchildren. She won't have that opportunity." In the early days of his relationship with Felicity Blunt, Tucci would find himself thinking of his late wife and feeling guilty. According to the Irish Mirror, he said, "It was very hard to go on vacations at first, really hard to go with Felicity some places. I felt guilty. It's horrible. You always feel guilty." Tucci has had a long and successful career, but in between taking on some of his most memorable performances, he was fighting a battle behind the scenes. In 2017, he was dealt a life-altering blow and was diagnosed with oral cancer. More specifically, a tumor was found at the base of his tongue. However, as it often goes, he was misdiagnosed at first. He told People in 2022, "I had a scan, but the scan missed it. And of course, when you think that there might be something wrong, you're also afraid that there is something wrong." When he finally got the correct diagnosis, the tumor was massive and had grown to 3 centimeters. He said, "They couldn't do surgery because the tumor was so big. It's a miracle that it didn't metastasize. It had been in me so long." When he learned he had cancer, the news was incredibly challenging, especially when coupled with the trauma of having lost his wife to breast cancer.
Well, it was terrifying. My first wife died of cancer. So when I got it, I was completely shocked.
The ensuing radiation and chemotherapy treatments were unbelievably challenging for both him and his family. In an interview with Vera magazine, he said, "The kids were great, but it was hard for them. I had a feeding tube for 6 months. I could barely make it to the twins' high school graduation." During this period, he described the side effects as brutal.
I lost 35 pounds. I couldn't eat. I had a feeding tube for 6 months. And everything tasted like, you know what.
Thankfully, these side effects were long-lasting, but not permanent. When asked about his senses in an interview with The Guardian in 2022, he said, "It's actually even better than it was. My senses of taste and smell are more acute." Regaining his taste has been vital for Tucci, who is incredibly passionate about food. He has a television show, Searching for Italy, and has penned the memoir, Taste My Life Through Food. Tucci wrote in the latter, "There were times when I believed I would never ever be able to cook or enjoy a meal again with the people I love. After a week of treatments, anything I was capable of putting into my mouth tasted like old wet cardboard. A few days later, everything tasted like the same old wet cardboard, but slathered with someone's excrement." He spoke with the hosts of The View about this time period, and the thought that he might never be able to connect with his friends and family over food again.
To not be able to have that, I wanted to, well, die.
Though he's never really talked about it publicly, there's something else Tucci likely still feels guilty about when it comes to his first wife. When they were still married, he reportedly had an affair with actress Edie Falco. The pair had been cast alongside each other in a Broadway play, Frankie and Johnny, in 2002, a risque production that began with a scene in which the two were naked in bed together. Falco told the New York Times, "This play is about two people having sex, and there's sort of no way to make an audience believe it when you get out of bed, you have your clothes on." For a time, Tucci left his wife and children to be with Falco. Any further details of what happened between them are not clear, but it did come to an end. Falco told the New York Times, "We were together and then we broke up, because there's no way for that to be a good thing. He's a lovely man, and he's back with his wife and kids, and I'm thrilled." After all that Tucci has achieved in his life and the struggles and losses that he has overcome, you would think that he may view himself as a success. While others may use this word to describe him, the Julie and Julia actor is reluctant to do the same, and the comments he made in an interview with The Guardian in 2016 suggest that he still has self-doubt. He said, "I am always disappointed in myself. I always feel that I haven't achieved enough or been as good a parent as I could be." Of course, Tucci is not the only person to have ever second-guessed how they are doing with their career or their relationships. And this is not the only time that he has spoken about fatherhood. While there are obvious challenges with being responsible for another human, Tucci's comments about his kids make him sound like a truly dedicated and loving dad. He told Reuters, "My kids don't really like to watch me in movies. They just want me to be me. They're great kids, they're incredible, and they're all really funny, thank God."